How does condos in different cities behave differently? Hi everyone, Ian here. So last video we spoke about how condo market in GTA has been challenging for the past few years. The price has been under the past 3 years and it's unlikely going to have a very hot spring market in 2025. So today we want to add more into that video content, right? To go a bit more in depth about how different cities in GTA, the condo market actually behaves a little bit differently. And that market forecast we discussed may or may not apply to every part of the GTA, right? Some parts may be busier than other parts. So what are the good and bad parts of GTA for condo market? Let's find out today. So let's take a look at this chart. This is basically the average price for condos in these different markets, right? On the left, you have Midtown, Oakville, Downtown, Markham, North York, Etobicoke, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Mississauga, and Scarborough, right? So these are the, I would say, top 10 main geographical areas in GTA that has a lot of condos, okay? So if you're buying a condo or selling a condo, likely you're in one of these areas. So how do these stack up, right? So let's take a look. The first factor, let's take a look at the average price. And we can see that there's a clear winner on average price, which is Midtown. I mean, there's a lot of expensive condos in Midtown, right? I don't think for the same building, like same square footage, is much more expensive than downtown in majority of Midtown condos. But there's a lot of really expensive condos, like multi-million dollars, right? In like Annex, in like Mount Pleasant, in like, Yorkville, like there's actually St. Clair, like there's a lot of expensive buildings, right? That drives the average price up. So, but in general, Midtown is an expensive area for condos, and same as Oakville, right? Oakville, for regular buildings, it's okay, but near the lakeshore, there's a lot of really expensive retirement buildings, right? So average price looks high. So downtown is the number 3, where we can see the average price is $700,000, okay, per condo. This includes all different layouts, right? Studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms, right? They're all included. Average $700,000 to buy a condo in GTA. And Markham, you can see average is $680,000, right? North York, $670,000. Etobicoke, $650,000. Vaughan, $630,000. Mississauga, $620,000, right? Similar to Richmond Hill. Scarborough is the cheapest. It's also the oldest, right? Scarborough has a lot of old condos. They're actually very large in size, quite comfortable. But because they're older, their average price is lower. So price per square feet is great in Scarborough. If you're looking for, amongst these areas, one of the lowest price per square feet, like you want to spend $550,000 and buy like a, 900 square feet large condo, go to Scarborough, right? So you can see that's how price stacks up. But this price has actually changed or evolved over the years. And what do I mean by that? So if you look at the ratio between downtown and let's say Markham and Mississauga, okay, let's use these as an example. Downtown is still a winner, but the difference is quite small, right? 700,000 against 680,000 against 620,000. Okay, so downtown and Markham condos differ by 20,000. Downtown and Mississauga differ by 80,000, okay? And this is November 2024 data, okay? This is now. And that's how the price difference stacks up. 20,000, 80,000. Remember these two numbers, okay? And let's take a look at a different timeline. Let's take a look at, like, say, 5 years ago, okay? 2019, when everything was still nice and rosy, no COVID, economy was generally good, Toronto was booming, there's a lot of immigrants still. Everything was good, right? 2019, November. And then if you take a look at the same chart in terms of average price, you're gonna see downtown is way up there. Okay, there's a lot of demand for downtown condos. Everybody wants to be downtown, right? Close to work. There's a lot of new restaurants opening. There's a lot of activities. There's a lot of new companies coming to Toronto, setting up their headquarters. Downtown Toronto was very, very popular. And the average price, and this is 5 years ago, right? Now it's 2024. This is 2019, November. 760,000. Okay, that's average price of a condo in downtown back then, 5 years ago. So you can see that now it's what? 700,000, okay? 5 years ago, 760,000 in downtown. And you can see what happened, right? These 5 years. It's, the time just disappeared. And the interesting part is if you take a look at the Markham, right? Markham against downtown Toronto, 5 years ago, Markham was only 600,000. So 600,000 against 760,000. The difference was 160,000. Remember what the difference we just checked for November? 20,000, right? Not 5 years ago, it was 160,000 difference between downtown and Markham condo. Now it's only 20,000. So you can see, these past number of years really hit downtown pretty bad. And the 905 areas, the surrounding condos, actually, they caught up, right? They actually improved, right? Like 5 years ago, Markham was 600,000 and now it's 680, right? So the price has actually gone up 80K, while downtown on average has gone down 60K, right? Big difference. And Mississauga is the same story. Mississauga 5 years ago was 510,000 against downtown 760,000. It was a total of 250,000 difference between Mississauga and downtown. That's almost like 50% difference. The price you buy like 3 Mississauga condos can only buy like 2 downtown condos, right? The price was big. The difference was big. But now Mississauga is up to 620. So the past 5 years, you can see Mississauga actually is one of the bigger winners. The average price gone up by 110,000, or downtown went down by like 60,000, right? So it made the gap a lot smaller. The gap went from 250K down to 80K, the difference between these two areas. So if you ask me now, what's the better value between these places? I mean, if you need it for yourself, buy where it's convenient for you. But if you just ask me in terms of looking at the math, looking at the numbers, looking at the prospect of where Toronto, the city is headed and where the jobs are going, I still think downtown has a lot of future potential. And currently the price might be somewhat underrated, especially comparing to how much the other condos in 905 area has gone up and how small that gap is. You can almost buy the same price, right? Downtown versus Markham versus Vaughan versus Mississauga. Same price, you can buy a condo like anywhere, including downtown. So it feels to me that downtown is a little underpriced, okay? I mean, for a lot of good reasons right now, right? The demand for downtown is still lower than its inventory level. Remember last video we talked about there's a lot of inventories that are unabsorbed and there's more coming up next year with more new buildings completing. So I do think downtown is going to stay challenged for a while, but in the medium to long future, I do think there's value to be captured there, right? So, just use this data as part of your strategic analysis, right? Just think about it, right? And then see how it makes sense in your own portfolio. And if we look at the sales to new listing ratio, take a look at the active listings. Okay, so where does all the inventories are right now? You can see that downtown has the most number of inventories for sure, right? Etobicoke second, which is kind of close to downtown. Mississauga, North York has about the similar level of inventories. And you can see Oakville, Richmond Hill, Markham, they generally it's a smaller condo market, right? The biggest markets are downtown, Etobicoke, Mississauga, North York, Midtown. These are like the top 5 biggest condo market, right? There's the most number of inventories. And if we look at the sales to new listing ratio, okay, this is where things are happening, right? This is, where the buyer and the seller's ratio are compared against each other. So the higher this number is, that means there's more buyer and less sellers in that area. Or to put it this way, more buyers and less new sellers in this month, right? So how many buyers actually made a transaction versus how many new sellers came to market this month? That's sales to new listing ratio. So you can see that the tightest market, right, is actually North York. So for every 100 new listings come to market, 55 of them actually sells. That's why it's 0.55. Downtown is actually one of the slower ones, 0.38, right? So 100 new listings came to market, 38 sales, right? That's the ratio. In downtown, you can see it's quite different. So you can see, North York, Etobicoke, Midtown, right? These are actually still quite popular, and buyer-seller ratios are more favorable towards sellers, right? Because there's less sellers to buyers comparing to other areas. And the slowest market is Oakville, right? Oakville is actually 0.32. So there's a lot of new sellers came to market, but not enough buyers, right? Which makes sense. If you look at Upper West Side, for example, that's the new condo building that just completed around 2 years ago. There's a lot of new inventories in those condos, but the buyers are not as much. It's slower. Most young people go to Oakville to buy a house, right? To start a family. So there's actually, because of the location, it's actually less demand for young people to go to Oakville and buy a condo, right? Most people who buy a condo in Oakville are for retirement or for their parents and, for more like a niche reasons. For most, like majority of families, they go to Oakville to start a family, to expand, and they need more space, right? So you can see Oakville condos are more challenged. Mississauga is slow as well, also because there has been a lot of speculation in Mississauga during the hot market, right? Everybody was going to Mississauga to buy a condo to invest because the rent to sales ratio was the best in Mississauga. Mississauga has the cheapest condos, so therefore there's a lot of investors who flooded to Mississauga, and now they're putting them back on the market, and you can see that that's why this ratio is lower. So you can see like this is how basically different areas of condos and how they stack up against each other, right? I can see between downtown and Etobicoke. Etobicoke is actually a healthier ratio. Mainly, I think because one is it's cheaper than downtown. Both young people and older people, they can enjoy Etobicoke, right? And Etobicoke is a smaller condo market compared to downtown. It doesn't have as much inventory as downtown, but people who like Etobicoke, like they only have that small region to choose from. So it's actually busier than downtown in general, right? So just to give you a comparison. And if you ask me, hey, is the spring market next year going to be hot for, downtown or these areas, right? Like let's take a quick look at the inventory level, right? So that's how we derive the conclusion for the entire condo market. It's going to be hard, right? For the entire condo market to have a strong spring market. Let's see if that's the case for downtown, okay? So on the screen, this is actually the active listings for downtown. We're right here. You can see in 2020, when COVID hit, we actually had more active listings in downtown than where it is today, right? So we don't have it the worst in downtown right now. But let's say it kind of goes down to this level and it comes back to here. Okay, so we actually, in general, like downtown, it's actually not the worst, right? We're likely going to have a spring market that's a higher inventory level compared to previous years, but it's not the worst, right? So downtown, if you ask me, especially we've compared the price compared to other areas, how downtown has a very similar price to 905 condos, which I think is a bit underpriced. And given that the inventory level is not at historically high, and likely if the seasonality plays out, we're likely going to have a similar level of inventory to previous years in the upcoming January. So, it gives us a bit more hope in the downtown market, right, for spring. So hopefully, if you have a condo in downtown Toronto that are having trouble selling, hopefully the upcoming January, February market will help you out. Okay, and let's take a look at other areas like Markham. Markham, you can see the same chart looks a bit different, right? It does have the highest level of inventories right now. And let's say it follows the seasonality, have a drop in December, and we come back to the beginning of next year. It's likely going to have a similar level of inventory as 2016, which still quite a bit higher than other areas. So but Markham, it's a smaller market, right? Not as big. So if there's an influx of buyers, even like say 20, 30 buyers go to Markham, it could really drive the market differently. So I do think Markham still has a chance, but the inventory level, it's still quite high, right? Comparing to historical levels. But historical levels, Markham has been a very hot market. You can see the price has really caught up to downtown, right? So even if a bit higher than historical level, so what, right? It may be okay. Mississauga, on the other hand, let's take a look. Mississauga condos, I'm not feeling it, right? You can see 2024, we're here. We barely moved comparing to last month, okay? These 2 months has been very similar inventory levels. It's not really following seasonality. See, every other month it kind of dropped, right? But we haven't seen that this year. So that means, tell me something wrong with the Mississauga condo market that are not dropping its inventory at all. If that's the case, even if December has another seasonal drop, bring it back, it's going to be like crazy high, right? In terms of inventory, compared to every other year. So I think it's going to be a challenging market. Okay, if you have a condo in Mississauga and you're having trouble selling, I don't very feel optimistic about the spring market. As you can see, every area behaves very differently. So cognizant of time, we're already pretty long in this video, so I'm going to stop talking. But you can see, right? This is what I mean by you gotta look at different areas differently to better understand the situation of your listing or your target market. Okay, so if you interested in any of these charts, feel free to reach out, and I can share these analysis. It helps you with your strategic planning for next year. Okay, until next time, ciao.